Graphing equations in slope-intercept form. Let's review some vocabulary. Our first term is x-intercept. The x-coordinate of a point where a line crosses the x-axis. The x-intercept occurs when we have an ordered pair and the y equals 0. Our next term is y-intercept. We've learned about this one with our last practice problems. The y-intercept, that means the y-coordinate of a point where the line crosses the y-axis. The y-intercept occurs when x equals 0. For number 5, slope-intercept form, we've practiced this a bit already. A linear equation written in slope-intercept form, that means it has this setup, y equals mx plus b. So we're going to review this first. Remember the m. The m stands for the slope. So the s is already there for you. So we're going to put the word slope. And that b over here, that b stands for the y-intercept. So today we're going to be graphing. Let's move on. Part 6. To find the slope and y-intercept of the graph of a linear equation, rewrite the equation in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. So we're using the slope and the intercept. That's why it's called slope-intercept form. Okay, so let's do this. Identify the slope and the y-intercept of the graph of a linear equation. If this is the equation, which number, -5 or -8? Which number is slope? Which one is the m? The slope. That's this one right here. So our slope is -5, and our b, our y-intercept, would be -8. So we want to pull out that information from that equation. Now the next one is not in slope-intercept form. It's not ready to go. So we have to get y by itself. We need to have this y equals mx plus b. So to get the y by itself, this plus 3 needs to go to the other side of the equation. So I need to use inverse operations to cancel it out. Whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I do to the other. So now we're left with y equals 1/2 x minus 3. Now, right in here, 1/2 x minus 3, those are not like terms, so we could not combine them. Okay, now that I've rewritten the equation in slope-intercept form, now let's identify the m. The slope is 1/2. That's the slope right there. And -3 is the b, the y-intercept. So we had to manipulate this one first because it was not in slope-intercept form. Okay, now I'm going to take you through the steps of having an equation and graphing a line by using the slope and the y-intercept. So our first step is to identify the slope and the y-intercept in the equation. The slope right there is 1/2, so this one is in y-intercept form. So our m is 1/2, and our y-intercept is right here. Our y or intercept is 1. Okay, so pull those two pieces of information out. Step 2, plot the y-intercept. So we're going to do step 2 next. The y-intercept is B, the B. We begin at the B, go down here and plot a point at 1. Begin at the B. Now, we did that step. Now we're going to use the slope to find another point. So we're going to use the slope of 1/2 to find another point. How do we do that? Remember, slope is rise over run. So from the 1, we're going to rise 1 and run 2. And then once we get to that new location, we put another point. That's right here. Boom. Then do it again from that point. Slope is 1/2, rise 1, run 2, and put another point. Now I'm going to fall off the graph, so I can continue this pattern in the reverse direction. So from the y-intercept, I can drop 1 and go backwards 2. And that's going to be right here. And we're going to do it again. Drop 1, back 2, and put another point. Okay, now I've done all the points I can. So we've done this step. Now draw and label the line. So now neatly we're going to connect all of those dots, draw, and label the line. Now we can just double check everything. Did we begin at the B? Yes, began at 1. Is our slope 1/2? Yes, it rises 1 and runs 2. So our slope is 1/2 and our B is 1. So that is correct. Okay, let's go ahead and practice these skills now. We're going to identify the slope and the y-intercept in this equation. This one has y by itself. This is ready to go. It's in slope-intercept form. So I can see my slope is right here. Y equals mx plus b. That's messy. So the m is -1/3. The b is right here. So this is the m and that's the b. The b is 2. For number 2 now, this is not in slope-intercept form. This is not ready to go. It's not in y equals mx plus b. We need to get the y by itself. So we will use inverse operations. Now we have the y by itself. Now, these are not like terms. We cannot put these together in any way. So we just write them side by side. Now our slope, now this is in slope-intercept form. Now we have to identify the slope, the m and the b, the slope and the y-intercept. The slope, or the m, is right here. It says -x. So try to remember back when we did a lot of equation work, we were allowed to slide a 1 in here. This means our slope is -1. If we want rise over run, it's -1/1. Our b is -4. So for this equation, you have to first get the y by itself or put it into slope-intercept form. Okay, let's practice graphing. So the steps that we learned on the front is first identify the slope and the y-intercept. So looking here, we have that -1 again, or that -x. That means -1. Now we will want to have rise over run, so we can put that over 1. Our b is over here, so this is our m, this is our b. Our b is 1. Now to graph it, begin at the b. Begin at the b. Begin at the b. So we're going to begin at 1. That's on the y-axis. We're going to begin at 1 and put a point. From that point, now we're going to rise and run. Our slope is -1, so we're going to drop 1 and run forward 1 and put a new point. Let's do it again. We want a lot of points, so it makes it easy to make a nice line. Drop 1, run 1. Do it again. Drop 1, run 1. Fill it up. Drop 1, run 1. We could also reverse the order and rise 1 and go backwards 1 and continue the pattern in the other direction. So our final step then is just connect the dots, make the line, draw the line, and there you have it. So double check everything. Did we begin at -1? Yes. Is our line negative? Our slope is negative, yes. Down 1/1. So you need the M and the B to do that. All right, next one. Yep, this one, number 4. Begin at the B. So let's first identify the M and the B, pull those out of the equation. That number is the M, and this number is the B. So the B is -3, and the M is 1/4. Begin at the B. Begin at the B. The B is -3. Boom, right there. So begin there. From that point, we are going to rise and run. We're going to rise 1 and run 4. And then that'll be our next point. Now I can't go anymore on this side of the graph, so I have to reverse the order. Drop 1 and go backwards 4. I can only fit those 3 points on the line. Our last step is just to connect those 3 points. Make that thinner. Connect them. Put arrows on the end to show that it can keep going in either direction. Okay, did we begin in the right spot? Begin at -3, yes, we began here, and our slope is 1/4. So I always kind of double check to make sure my line looks correct. Graph 5. First identify the M and the B. Here's the M, here's the B. The M is 4, the B is -4. Then begin at the B. Begin at -4. That's the spot on the y-axis. Boom, it's right down there. Okay, our slope is 4. Recall, we need rise over run. So we're going to go 4. Keep doing that. Go 4/1. Rise over run. It's a positive slope. So we're going to rise 4, run 1. Put another point there. Do it again. Rise 4, run 1, put a point. Okay, connect them. Oh, that's way too thick. Let's connect them. And I'll just double check. Our intercept's at -4 and our slope is 4/1. Okay, last one. There's a little problem. Our original equation, I'm going to just list it right here. Y is not by itself. Remember, we need y equals mx plus b. So we're going to use inverse operations to get that 2 out of there and put it over here. Just kind of recall, these are not like terms. We cannot combine those. So our new equation, we just write it side by side. That's our new equation. Now find the M and the B. The M is here, the B is here. So M is 1/2 and B is -2. Now we're ready to graph the line. Begin at the B. Begin at the B. Begin at -2 and put a point. Our slope is rise over run. Our slope is 1/2. So we rise 1 and run 2. Put a new point. do it again. And we're going to rise 1 and run 2. Put our point. And then I'm off the graph, so let's reverse the order and go down 1 and back 2 and put a new point. And now that I have all the points that I can make, I'm going to connect them. Do a thinner line here. Connect them. Put arrows at the end to show that that line would continue. Double check. Did we begin at a -2? Yes. And our slope is rise 1, run 2.